welcome to the Disabled People's Channel. My name is Steve Huxford and I'm having a discussion today on fibromyalgia with Mark Farmer.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark. I'm from Leicestershire, where I chair a fibromyalgia group.
Do you want to give us a kind of a brief intro into what fibromyalgia is?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so fibromyalgia primarily for most people is a pain condition affecting all parts of the body. It's got many things that come with it. So people obviously also mention memory loss as being another issue, and we call that fibro fog. So we have an overactive nervous system that feels pain more often. Like I said, it causes us to lose our memory. We also have fatigue. We can become overweight. We have mental health problems, bowel problems, problems in our mouth. And I think when we check the research, I think this is right, that there's possibly about 150 plus different conditions that people, can have with it. What was your own experience of getting a diagnosis for the condition?
I think it was 4 years ago. I was at a point where I was really struggling just to get out of bed, and I was in a lot of pain, and it took me so long just to admit to myself that I was in pain and quite how bad it was, because I'd taken painkillers for kind of some leg pains, some back pains, that kind of thing, and eventually I just went to the doctor, who asked me lots of questions, prodded me about a bit, tested different things, and then said, I think you've got fibromyalgia. The frustrating thing is that you go to a rheumatologist, they run through a lot of things, they rule out pretty much everything that's rheumatoid or to do with them, and then say, yes, it's fibromyalgia, that's nothing to do with us, go back to your GP and then take it from there.
The scary thing now, though, for me was looking back and looking at my childhood, and I used to have really bad leg pain, which they kept saying was just growing pains, but I actually think for me that was the start of my fibromyalgia, and I can track it back to quite a traumatic event, in my life, in my childhood, because that's one of the other facts about fibromyalgia that obviously don't know really what causes it, but it's often triggered by people having a mental health or physical trauma.
It was about 10 years ago I had a significant back injury at work. I was off work for 4 months, and then I came back into work and I wasn't able to do a standing job, which I used to do. The back injury never quite sorted itself out, and I think that was probably one of the big triggers for me. Over the years I've had several different breaks or injuries, and I think that's made it worse each time.
Yeah. So it's just been more and more triggers for you that are just...
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And the painfuls and things. It's so hard to express to friends and family what you're going through, isn't it? And I think particularly when you're having a really bad day of pain. Now, I don't personally go, ouch, ouch, I'm in pain today. I just keep it internalized, because I don't want to become like a whinger that someone's banging on about it all the time. But perhaps I should be more open about it, because that might help me deal with some of that pain a bit more closely. But when the pain is so bad, it's about, what can you do to calm it down? So taking more and more medication, but obviously trying to just switch off from the world for a little bit. I also think the other interesting one is that it affects women far more than it does men. So between 80 and 90% of people with fibromyalgia are women. And they've got no idea at all why that's the case. It could be because of hormonal changes. That's one of the theories that they've got out there. It could partly be more about women are being a bit more open and going to see their doctor more and getting a diagnosis.
It is prevalent all around the world. It doesn't seem to kind of make any difference where you're from or anything like that.
No.
The only difference really does seem to be the male-female ratio, and there's a lot of unknowns with this. So the causes, they kind of think it's to do with the trauma or some kind of trigger, but there's so many different factors that could be involved and different theories that keep coming up. we've got a question coming in, and what support would be available to somebody with the condition?
Well, look, that's a really difficult question to answer. I'd begin by saying it depends where you live in the country. So if you're near a rheumatology clinic or a pain consultant clinic, or even if you've got a really supportive GP, a really supportive GP will be able to open all sorts of doors for you.
Yeah.
Because they can treat it in primary care. You don't have to see a consultant. I would say the other thing is joining a group is number one, really. Sharing your experiences with other people.
Yeah, I think definitely having people around and some good friends, good family, hopefully, being able to bring in people who are prepared to accept that we will have low energy at points. We can't always do as much as we want to. So I've learnt so much more from other people with it than I have from the brief appointments that we've had from different specialists. But because this is one of the invisible illnesses, for most people it's not obvious. I sit in here, there's probably nothing obvious that shows that we're not very well, but when I'm walking around I use 2 sticks, just because I haven't got the strength or the balance to get around very well. Some people will even need mobility scooters, electric wheelchairs, but other people would, you wouldn't notice it. They can walk around and no obvious illness.
Yeah, it so massively varies. Most of the time I'm in a wheelchair, so yeah, that's how it's affected me.
What's the best thing for people to use?
With us not having medical knowledge, we can only sort of go on our own personal experience, I guess. But yeah, like you say, there's a range of medications out there that vary in their effectiveness for people. Obviously, it's not a legal drug, but cannabis works for some people.
Yes, that's I suppose the big one in discussion at the moment, isn't it? Because some countries or states and medical marijuana's coming along, at least from our government's point of view, then they treat that as anecdotal evidence rather than scientific evidence.
Yeah, but perhaps they should let us make the choice about what we put into our own bodies rather than it sort of being directed by them. I think for me, it's about reducing your stress levels if you can.
So just being able to really calm down and slow my thoughts down. And even being able to sit here and talk to you, that would have just been completely unthought of, not even a couple of years ago.
Wow. So you've come on a long way.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
But the reality is we're not really getting into the mainstream media about what it is. And that's partly because we're crowded out by the conditions. Cancer and heart get all the attention, and other conditions sort of get left behind and not mentioned. And it also means that society doesn't put enough money into research. So look, we know most conditions, why they're caused, but we don't know for sure what causes fibromyalgia, and therefore we have no idea about how to switch it off or to make it better. So that's a huge problem there with it. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a lot of that, and also just because there's so many conditions that are very similar, there's a lot of overlap with the symptoms, so it can be hard to diagnose, which makes it harder to explain what it is. And so I think it's more just that people, even if they're aware it exists, it's just kind of how it impacts different people. And I suppose the best way of, if you know somebody with it, ask them how it affects them and the difference. And that's one of the things that I found through just being connected with the Disabled People's Channel, is that I'm speaking to people with other conditions who have similar experiences in a lot of different ways.
There are many, many of us out there that have got the condition, who've lived with it for a number of years, have gone through the different treatments. We're there to back you up if you need us to. And you can find us on Facebook groups, you can find us on websites, you can find us on chats like this one. But thank you for the questions. They've been quite challenging questions. And hopefully we've given you the informative answers.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark Farmer, up in Leicestershire. I'm Steve Huxford. Thank you for the questions. We'll put some more information up on the Disabled People's channel. Hopefully we'll be back with you soon for another discussion around something else.